Good evening, my dear friend. As the shadows of this long day finally begin to settle around you, I know you're carrying more than you planned when you woke up this morning. Maybe your shoulders feel heavy, your mind won't slow down, or your heart is burdened with worries that seem to grow larger in the quiet moments before sleep. Tonight, I want you to know that you don't have to carry any of this alone. The God who never sleeps is watching over you right now. As it says in Psalm 4, verse 8, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety." Picture this moment with me. There's a soft lamp glowing nearby. Your room is becoming a sanctuary of rest, and the busy world outside is finally growing still. Your breathing can slow down now. This is your time to find peace. Before we begin this journey together tonight, I'd love to know where you're joining me from. Are you watching from your bedroom? Maybe sitting on the edge of your bed? Or perhaps you're in your favorite chair, trying to unwind. Take a moment to hit that like button. If this prayer is already bringing you comfort, and please subscribe, so we can walk through many more peaceful evenings together. Now let me tell you what I've learned about nights like this, when everything feels too heavy to carry alone. Just last Tuesday, I sat exactly where you might be sitting now. The day had been one of those marathon sessions where everything seemed to pile up at once. The presentation I'd prepared for weeks didn't go as planned. My client looked confused when I explained the new strategy, and I could see doubt creeping into their eyes. Then there was the conversation with my brother that ended in tension over something that started small, but somehow grew into old wounds being reopened. By evening, I felt like I was drowning in my own life. You know that feeling when your shoulders are so tight they ache when your thoughts race from one problem to another, like a hamster on a wheel that won't stop spinning. That was me, and maybe that's you tonight too. The bills seemed to multiply while I wasn't looking. There was the unexpected car repair that wiped out my emergency fund. The credit card statement that arrived today, showing a balance higher than I remembered, and next week's rent sitting there like a mountain I wasn't sure I could climb. Financial pressure has this way of making everything else feel unstable, doesn't it? Like you're standing on shifting sand instead of solid ground. Then there were the relationship tensions that felt too complicated to untangle. The text message from Sarah that I still haven't answered, because I don't know what to say. She's heard about something I apparently did, but I can't figure out what it was. There's Mom, who's been calling more frequently lately, and I can hear the worry in her voice about Dad's health, but she won't admit she's scared. And there's Jennifer at work, who used to be friendly, but now seems distant. And I keep wondering if I said something wrong in that team meeting last week. My health has been another source of quiet anxiety. There's that pain in my lower back that comes and goes, and I keep meaning to schedule that appointment I've been postponing for months. Sometimes at night, when everything is quiet, I notice my heart beating irregularly, and I wonder if it's stress or something more serious. The symptoms that worry you in the small hours always feel more threatening in the darkness, don't they? Career uncertainties have been eating at me, too. The promotion I thought was mine went to someone with less experience, and I'm left wondering if I'm missing something obvious about office politics. The job market feels impossible right now. Every position requires skills I don't have or experience in areas I've never explored. Sometimes I lie awake wondering if I chose the wrong path entirely, if it's too late to start over, if I even have what it takes anymore. There's this list in my head that never gets shorter, only longer. Tomorrow's deadlines that I'm not prepared for. Next week's obligations that I'm already dreading the phone call to my insurance company that I've been avoiding because I know it's going to be complicated and frustrating. Each item feels heavy, and together they create this weight that sits on my chest like a stone. But here's what I want you to know about carrying all of this into the night. You're not meant to solve everything before you sleep. You're not failing if you can't fix it all before your head hits the pillow. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is knowing when to stop trying for the day and trust that tomorrow's challenges don't need tonight's energy. There's something about the darkness that makes every worry feel bigger, isn't there? During the day, we can distract ourselves with busyness with other people's voices, with the constant noise of life moving forward. But when the sun goes down and the world gets quiet, suddenly we're alone with thoughts that seem to echo louder in the silence. I remember lying awake at 3 a.m. last spring, staring at the ceiling of my bedroom, feeling like I was the only person in the world who couldn't figure things out. The streetlight outside cast these long shadows across my wall, and they seemed to move like my anxious thoughts, shifting and changing, but never really going away. I felt so isolated in that moment, like everyone else was sleeping peacefully, while I wrestled with problems that felt too big for me. The silence has this way of amplifying our fears. When the phone stops ringing, when the emails stop coming, when there's nothing left to do but think, that's when the real weight of our struggle settles in. Maybe you're a parent lying there wondering if you're failing your children. Did you lose your temper too quickly today? Are you giving them enough attention? Or are you too distracted by your own problems? The parent guilt that visits us in the quiet hours can be devastating. Maybe you're lying next to your spouse but feeling completely disconnected. You love them, but somehow you've grown apart without either of you meaning for it to happen. You want to reach over and bridge that gap, but you don't know how to start the conversation that might heal what's been broken between you. The loneliness you can feel even when you're not alone is one of the deepest aches in the human heart. If you're single, perhaps you're questioning if love will ever find you. You watch your friends getting married, having children, building the lives you thought you'd have by now. Social media shows you everyone else's highlight reels, while you're living in your behind-the-scenes struggles. The comparison trap is especially vicious at night, when you have nothing but time to scroll through other people's seemingly perfect lives. Career anxieties take on a different quality in the darkness, too. Maybe you're wondering if you chose the wrong path entirely. Is it too late to start over? Do you have what it takes to succeed in this competitive world? That presentation that went badly last week replays in your mind like a movie you can't turn off. Every stumble, every awkward moment, every confused look from your audience gets magnified in the echo chamber of nighttime worry. There's also the spiritual dryness that can feel especially acute when you're trying to rest. Perhaps you've been praying for months about the same thing, and heaven feels silent. You've asked for guidance, for healing, for breakthrough, for provision, and the answer seems to be an endless wait. In the quiet hours, it's easy to wonder if God is listening, if He cares, if your prayers are even reaching Him at all. The weight of responsibility for others can feel crushing in these moments too. Maybe you have elderly parents who need more care than you know how to give. Your children look to you for answers you don't have. Your spouse depends on you for strength you're not sure you possess. The dreams you had for yourself have been set aside for so long that you wonder if you'll ever get back to them. But what if I told you that this very moment of feeling powerless, this place where you're completely at the end of your own resources, is actually the doorway to something miraculous? What if the darkness you're experiencing right now is about to become the backdrop for God's light to shine in ways you never expected? Real power isn't found in your ability to control everything that's happening around you. Real power is discovered in your wisdom to know what to release. 3 years ago, I learned the difference between giving up and giving over, and it changed everything about how I approach the struggles that used to keep me awake at night. Giving up says, nothing matters, so why try? But giving over says, this matters so much that I'm going to trust it to someone who can handle it better than I can. There's a sacred act that happens when we stop trying to be God in our own lives and remember that Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, is already working on our behalf, even when we can't see how. Let me walk you through what this looks like in practice, because surrender isn't passive. It's the most active thing you can do with your faith. For your financial worries, this means saying, "Lord, I place my bank account, my bills, my future provision into your hands. You know exactly how much I need and when I need it. You've never failed to provide for your children, and you won't start with me. I release my anxiety about money and choose to trust your timing and your methods." For the relationships that are causing you pain, surrender sounds like this. "Father, I release my need to fix this relationship. I can't reach into another person's heart and heal what's broken there. I can't make them understand me, or forgive me, or love me the way I wish they would. But you can work in hearts I cannot reach. You can soften what's hardened, heal what's wounded, and restore what's been damaged. I trust this relationship to your love." When it comes to career direction and the uncertainty about your future, letting go means saying, "God, I release my timeline, my plans, my definition of what success should look like. Maybe the promotion I didn't get was protection from something I couldn't see. Maybe the job I want isn't the job you have prepared for me. I surrender my career, my reputation, my financial security to your perfect will, trusting that your plans for me are good." For health concerns that wake you up in the middle of the night with worry, surrender becomes this prayer. Jehovah Rapha, you are my healer. I trust my body, my recovery, my strength to you. Whether you choose to heal me instantly, gradually, or teach me to live with grace in the midst of weakness, I trust your love. You know my body better than any doctor. You formed me in my mother's womb, and you know exactly what I need. This isn't just mental exercise. There's a physical component to surrender that your body recognizes. Right now, notice if your hands are clenched into fists. Open them slowly, palms up, as a symbol of releasing control. Feel your shoulders drop as you let go of the weight you've been carrying. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly, imagining that you're exhaling all the pressure you've been holding inside. The mental shift that happens in genuine surrender is profound. Your internal dialogue changes from "I have to" "God will." Instead of "I must figure this out," you begin to think He can handle this. Rather than "it all depends on me," you start to believe He's got this covered. I know there's a fear that comes with surrender. You might be thinking, but if I let go, if I stop trying to control everything, won't things fall apart? Let me tell you something I've learned. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust someone who cares even more than you do. You're not abandoning your responsibilities. You're partnering with divine wisdom instead of trying to carry everything in your own limited strength. There's a moment in genuine surrender when you can actually feel the burden lift. Your breathing deepens naturally. Your racing thoughts begin to slow down. Peace starts to fill the space that worry used to occupy, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you've stopped trying to be the one in control of outcomes you were never meant to manage alone. Now, I want to talk to you about something that I believe will change how you sleep tonight. The God who created the universe, who spoke stars into existence, and knows the number of hairs on your head, this same God never sleeps. As it says in Psalm 121, "He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." While you rest, He remains awake, watching over you with the tenderness of a loving Father and the power of the Almighty. I want to tell you about a night last winter when I finally understood what divine protection really means. I had been lying awake for hours, worried about a situation at work that felt completely out of my control. My mind was churning through worst-case scenarios, and every attempt to fall asleep was interrupted by another anxious thought. Finally, in desperation, I whispered into the darkness, "God, I need to know you're protecting me. What happened next wasn't dramatic or supernatural in an obvious way, but it was unmistakably real. A peace settled over me that I hadn't manufactured through positive thinking or breathing exercises. It was as if a blanket of calm had been pulled over my anxious spirit. I realized that divine protection isn't just about keeping bad things from happening to us. It's about God's active presence surrounding us even in the midst of uncertainty. Jehovah Shalom, the God of peace, wants to be your protector tonight in ways that go beyond physical safety. Yes, He watches over your home, your family, your body while you sleep. But His protection extends to areas you might not have considered. He protects your mind from the anxious thoughts that try to steal your rest. When your brain wants to replay every mistake you made today or rehearse every worry about tomorrow, God can quiet those thoughts and give you the peace that passes understanding. He protects you from dreams that bring fear instead of rest. Have you ever noticed how sometimes you wake up more tired than when you went to bed? Because your sleep was filled with anxiety. Dreams, God can guard your subconscious mind, filling your sleep with rest instead of restlessness, with hope instead of fear. God also protects you from the enemy's lies that try to settle in when you're vulnerable. In those quiet moments before sleep, the devil loves to whisper accusations about your worth, your future, your calling. He wants you to believe that you're not good enough, that your situation is hopeless, that God has forgotten about you. But divine protection means that these lies don't have to take root in your heart. You can recognize them for what they are and reject them in Jesus' name. Scripture tells us in Psalm 91 verse 11 that God has given His angels charge over you to guard you in all your ways. Right now, as you prepare for sleep, there are heavenly beings assigned to watch over you. They're not sleeping either. They're standing guard around your bed, around your home, around your loved ones. You may not see them, but they see everything that concerns you, and they're working under God's direction to protect what matters to you. Let me pray specifically over different areas of your life that need protection tonight. For your mind, I pray, Father, would every thought be captive to Christ tonight. Don't allow worry, fear, or condemnation to have access to the precious person's mind. Fill their thoughts with your truth, your love, your promises, for your family, wherever they are. Lord, cover my spouse, my children, my parents, my loved ones under your wing tonight. Protect them from harm, from accidents, from the enemy's schemes. Let your angels watch over their coming and going, their lying down and rising up, for your home. Father, let your presence fill every room, every corner of this house. What you bless, no one can curse. What you protect, no evil can penetrate. Let this be a sanctuary of peace, a place where your Spirit dwells. For your tomorrow. God, you see the day ahead before it arrives. Prepare the way before this dear one. Remove obstacles they cannot see, open doors they don't even know they need, arrange divine appointments that will bless and encourage them. There's a crucial difference between earthly security and heavenly protection. Your bank account might be low, but you're rich in His love. Your health might be uncertain, but your soul is secure in Christ. Your relationships might be complicated, but your relationship with God is sealed by His promise never to leave you or forsake you. This is the kind of security that the world cannot give and cannot take away. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you're not alone in the darkness. The God of the universe is personally invested in your well-being, your rest, your peace. He's not a distant deity who's too busy running the cosmos to care about your individual struggles. He's Abba Father, who delights in His children and watches over them with perfect love and unlimited power. Now I want to share with you something that might change how you think about miracles forever. When we hear the word miracle, we often think about dramatic, instantaneous changes in our circumstances. And yes, God certainly does work that way sometimes. But I've learned that the most profound miracles often happen quietly in the secret places of our hearts, while we're not even paying attention. A miracle isn't always about changing your circumstances overnight. Sometimes the greatest miracle is changing you in your circumstances. Sometimes God's power is most evident, not in what He removes from your life, but in what He gives you to carry what remains. Let me tell you about the miracle of peace replacing anxiety. You know that feeling when your mind has been racing for hours, jumping from one worry to another, like a pinball, bouncing between obstacles. Then suddenly, without warning, your thoughts become still. Your breathing deepens. Your shoulders relax. The same circumstances that were overwhelming you 5 minutes ago are still there, but somehow they don't feel impossible anymore. That's not something you manufactured through willpower. That's the Prince of Peace, doing what only He can do. There's the miracle of forgiveness that can happen in your heart tonight. Maybe you've been carrying resentment towards someone who hurt you, and you've tried to let it go through your own effort, but it keeps coming back like a boomerang. Then one evening as you're praying, you realize that the anger is simply gone. Not because you worked harder at forgiving, but because God reached into your heart and healed what was wounded there. The person who hurt you didn't change, but your heart toward them was transformed. Consider the miracle of hope that can visit you while you sleep. You might go to bed tonight feeling defeated, like your situation is hopeless and will never improve. But you could wake up tomorrow morning with a sense of possibility you didn't have when you closed your eyes. Not because anything about your circumstances shifted during the night, but because God restored your ability to believe again. When hope returns to a hopeless heart, that's as miraculous as any physical healing. There's also the miracle of clarity that often comes after we stop trying to figure everything out. You've been agonizing over a decision for weeks, going back and forth, making lists of pros and cons, asking everyone for advice. Then suddenly, usually when you're not even thinking about it, you know what to do. The path forward becomes obvious, not because you finally gathered enough information, but because God gave you wisdom that transcends human reasoning. Sometimes the miracle is supernatural strength to handle what you thought would break you. Last year, when my father was diagnosed with cancer, I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to cope with watching him suffer. I'd never been good with medical situations, and I was afraid I'd fall apart when he needed me most. But as the months of treatment unfolded, I found myself able to be present, to be strong, to be encouraging in ways that surprised everyone, including myself. The strength wasn't mine. It was grace showing up moment by moment exactly when I needed it. Now let me also acknowledge that God does work external miracles. He opens doors that seemed permanently locked. He provides resources from unexpected sources just when you need them most. He arranges divine appointments that change the trajectory of your life. He brings healing that doctors can't explain and restores relationships that everyone said were beyond repair. But here's what I've learned about the mystery of God's timing. What looks like delay is often divine preparation. That job you didn't get last month might have protected you from a company that's about to go through massive layoffs. That relationship that ended might have cleared the way for something better that couldn't have happened while you were settling for less than God's best. That financial struggle you're walking through might be developing character and faith in you that will be essential for the abundance He's preparing to entrust to your stewardship. Last winter, when everything in my life felt impossible, when I was facing the potential loss of my job, serious health concerns with my wife, and financial pressures that kept me awake at night, God was actually preparing something I couldn't have imagined. The job situation that looked like a disaster led to an opportunity that was 10 times better than what I thought I wanted. My wife's health scare resulted in lifestyle changes that made our whole family stronger. The financial pressure taught us to trust God's provision in ways we'd never experienced before. We pray believing, but we trust His wisdom over our wishful thinking. Sometimes He says yes immediately. Sometimes He says yes, but not yet. Sometimes He says no because He has something better in mind. And sometimes He says, "Trust me to work this out in a way you can't understand right now." Here's something beautiful about how God works. He's on the night shift, while you sleep, while you rest, while you're completely unaware. He's arranging circumstances, softening hearts, preparing opportunities, opening doors, and working out details that would be impossible for you to orchestrate, even if you never slept at all. You might go to sleep tonight with a problem that seems unsolvable and wake up tomorrow morning with a solution you didn't have today. Not because you figured it out while you were sleeping, but because God was working while you were resting. You might close your eyes tonight feeling broken and open them tomorrow with healing that began in the secret place of divine love. Tonight, I choose peace. Tonight, I choose trust. Tonight, I place everything that has been weighing on my heart into the capable hands of a loving Father who never grows weary of caring for His children. I surrender my need to figure everything out before morning. Some problems require time to unfold their solutions. Some questions can only be answered through living them out day by day. Some burdens are meant to be carried by stronger shoulders than mine. Tonight, I release my grip on outcomes I cannot control and trust that God's plans for me are good, even when I can't see how they'll unfold. I release my anxiety about the conversation I need to have tomorrow, trusting that God will give me the words when I need them. I let go of my worry about the bill that's due next week, believing that Jehovah Jireh has never failed to provide for His children. I surrender my fear about the test results, knowing that whether they bring good news or challenging news, I will not walk through either alone. To you who are lying there tonight as a worried parent, wondering if you're doing enough, saying the right things, making the right choices for your children, hear this: your children are in God's hands even more securely than they are in yours. He loves them with a love that's perfect, constant, and wise. The mistakes you made today don't disqualify you from being the parent they need. Tomorrow is a new day, full of fresh opportunities to love them well. To you who are struggling in your business, wondering if you should keep pushing forward, or if it's time to close this chapter and start something new. Know this: your breakthrough is in His timing. Whether that means breakthrough in this venture or breakthrough into something entirely different, God is preparing success for you that matches His definition, not the world's. Trust His process even when you can't see the outcome. To you whose heart is hurting tonight because of a relationship that's been broken, because of words that can't be taken back, because of love that feels lost, remember this: your healing is in His love. The God who heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds is tenderly caring for the places in your heart that feel shattered. Love will find you again in whatever form is best for you. To you who feel confused about your direction, who thought you'd have more figured out by now, who wonder if you've wasted time or made irreversible mistakes, understand this: your next step is in His wisdom. God is the God of new beginnings, of redemption, of making all things work together for good. Your past doesn't determine your future when you're walking with Him. Tomorrow isn't here yet, but God already is. When you wake up in the morning, He will have been working all night on your behalf. The concerns you're carrying tonight will either be resolved or you'll have new strength to handle them. The relationships that feel strained will either be healed or you'll have fresh grace to love well in the midst of imperfection. The financial pressures will either be relieved, or you'll discover again that God's provision comes in forms you don't always expect. As it says in Lamentations 3 verses 22 and 23, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Every sunrise is a fresh delivery of God's mercy, a new supply of his grace, another opportunity to see his faithfulness in action. Before I close, I want to ask you something that might help both of us process what God is doing in our hearts tonight. What burden are you placing in God's hands as you prepare for sleep? Is it a relationship that needs healing? A financial situation that feels overwhelming? A health concern that's been causing you anxiety? A career decision that feels too big to make on your own? Take a moment to share in the comments what you're trusting God with tonight. Sometimes, just putting our struggles into words helps us release them more fully. And if this prayer has brought you peace, would you hit that like button and share this video with someone else who might need to hear these words tonight? Your simple action could be the way God delivers encouragement to someone who's been waiting for exactly this message. If you found comfort in this time together, I'd be honored to have you subscribe so we can continue meeting here for more evenings of prayer and peace. God has more to say to your heart, and I believe our paths crossing tonight was no accident. Sleep well, my dear friend. Nothing is lost in God's hands, even while you sleep. Everything you've placed in his care tonight is safe until morning and beyond. His love for you doesn't diminish while you rest. His plans for you don't get forgotten while you dream. His protection over you doesn't weaken while you sleep. Close your eyes now, knowing that you are held. You are loved, you are protected, and you are not alone. The God who created you delights in giving you rest. May his peace fill your heart, his presence surround your dreams, and his love carry you safely until morning light returns. Good night, and may you wake tomorrow with a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed by the one who makes all things new.